Well, a little bit of rain is not going to stop us today because we are happy. Donald Trump is the 47th President of the United States, and within just one day, he has basically eradicated all woke ideology from America. It's literally that simple. It can be done. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about some of the executive orders that he signed on his first day in office. It's amazing. It makes me very, very happy. But you know what makes me even happier? Seeing the WEF admit that they have been defeated. Check this out.
Trump has done something no person in the world has ever done before. A dead man, a dead politician, has risen. Somebody who, if we were 4 years ago at Davos, he's buried, dead politically, known to me. He's now returned. This is the greatest comeback in political history of a politician. And then, therefore, he thinks he can do anything.
We need to also factor in not only who's won, which is Trump, but who's lost, which is to say us.
Oh, you've been defeated. Literally nobody cares. You are the bad guys. You are the globalists. It is a good thing that you have been defeated. You know what's really interesting as well? He referred to Donald Trump as a dead man before quickly correcting himself. It's almost as if he forgot that his shooter had missed. Anyway, let's talk about these executive orders, because one of the first ones that Trump signed was basically just eradicating all of the gender identity madness that's going on in America. Check it out.
As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
Yep, as you heard there, the only two genders that will be recognized in America henceforth are male and female. Fantastic stuff. It's amazing how easy it is to be based these days. You just have to have a tiny amount of common sense and you get there. But for his troubles, what did Donald Trump receive? Well, he went to church the next day with his entire presidential team, including Vice President J.D. Vance. And he was delivered by the bishop there, some kind of really weird, far left, radical, woke activist sermon. Take a listen to it, and also take a look at J.D. Vance's facial expressions as she keeps talking. It's priceless.
In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives.
But Trump did not stop there. He signed another executive order. This one was to combat illegal private sector DEI preferences, mandates, policies, programs, and activities. What does that mean? Basically, it means the end of DEI. It means the end of discriminating against someone because they are white in America. It means the end of all of the diversity quotas saying you have to hire so many people of an ethnic minority, blah, blah, blah. That is completely illegal. Instead, what Trump has replaced it with is a colorblind meritocracy. The irony in this is, if you go back 50 years ago, a colorblind meritocracy would have been a very liberal, progressive policy. But now, because the lefties have gone way too far with all of the DEI stuff, that's actually become a conservative policy. And the best part of all of this, all of those DEI employees in the government, fired.
The latest is an end to the Biden-era mandates for diversity, equity, and inclusion programs within the federal government. All federal DEI staff have been ordered to be placed on paid administrative leave by 5 o'clock tonight. And all government DEI-related web pages must be taken down. Trump's executive order also ends grants given to DEI federal contractors.
But it gets even better. You see, if you actually read the executive order that Trump signed, it requires every federal agency to submit 9 nominations for companies, charities, or institutions larger than $500 million in value to be investigated by the federal government. And why? What are they being investigated for? Well, to see if their hiring practices and primarily their DEI policies have been discriminating. Let's be honest, discriminating primarily against white people and employing white people. If they have been found to be discriminating, well, they'll be federally sued by the US government. That is absolutely crazy. I can imagine a lot of DEI teams right now are just being fired in America. Good stuff. It's not all though. Trump has also left the Paris Climate Treaty.
The next item here is the withdrawal from the Paris Climate Treaty. We're going to save over $1 trillion by withdrawing from that treaty.
Now, this is absolutely the right move, and I can understand that this might be a little bit controversial for some people, but let me put a graph up here. And on this graph, what you can see is adjusted per capita, so it's irrelevant that China and India actually have more people, but adjusted per capita CO2 emissions for various countries. And what you can see are that Western countries are taking net zero rather seriously. Meanwhile, China and India are not. They could not care less. Now, keep in mind that these policies have a massive drag effect on our economies. So we are the ones losing out by respecting this net zero stuff. Meanwhile, China and India produce so much more CO2 than our countries ever could anyway, because they have vast populations and even per capita are producing massive amounts more pollution. It's ridiculous. It's a complete scam. And Donald Trump says as much himself.
But I'm immediately withdrawing from the unfair, one-sided Paris Climate Accord ripoff. The United States will not sabotage our own industries while China pollutes with impunity.
Let's be a little bit more specific about the Paris Climate Accords and what it really is, because I think a lot of people imagine that all of these countries came together and they agreed to do the same thing, and that by one partner pulling out, that's a really bad idea. That is not true. What actually happened was all of these countries were asked to submit their own climate change policies, and then they were all bundled together, stapled together, and that is the Paris Climate Accords. So you have some countries like China and India who put forward very unambitious climate change practices. And you can see that in the results, the amount of CO2 emissions that they are still having. And then you have other countries, mostly Western countries, that took this all rather seriously. Talking about America saying that it was going to reduce its carbon emissions by 25%. A really serious and expensive goal. So it's pointless. We are literally putting a massive drag on ourselves, meanwhile these other countries do not have to take this seriously, and because their initial suggestions into the Paris Climate Accords were so weak, they can claim that they are still keeping to what they said they were going to do, because what they said they were going to do was basically nothing. This isn't all that Donald Trump has done to anger the climate change fanatics, though. Get this.
The inflation crisis was caused by massive overspending and escalating energy prices, and that is why today I will also declare a national energy emergency. We will drill, baby, drill.
Drill, baby, drill. Donald Trump announced a national emergency over energy. And this is all a part of Donald Trump's big plan. You see, Trump is confident that if he can get energy prices down by bringing the cost of oil and gas down, by drilling for more of it, he can actually reduce the cost of just about everything for ordinary working Americans. Why? Because the cost of manufacturing will reduce, because their energy costs will reduce. The cost of refrigeration will reduce. The cost of transportation will reduce. And that is Donald Trump's silver bullet to make life better for ordinary working Americans. Most people don't realise this, but America has more oil and gas than any other country. It's absolutely crazy that they would try to not take advantage of those resources and enrich their own people. Clearly, we do the same thing here in the UK. Now, this wasn't the only national emergency that Trump actually announced. There was another one, and this is a slightly longer clip, but I'm going to play it because I want to draw a comparison here between the US and the UK. You'll see why afterwards.
I will declare a national emergency at our southern border. All illegal entry will immediately be halted, and we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came. And I will send troops to the southern border to repel the disastrous invasion of our country. Under the orders I signed today, we will also be designating the cartels as foreign terrorist organizations.
A national emergency over illegal immigration. And there is no other way that you can describe it, right? 15 million people crossed into America illegally during President Biden's term alone. 15 million people. For perspective, that's about 5% of the American population. National emergency is the only correct way to describe it. And what are the results then of Trump signing into action this national emergency? Well, firstly, the border wall has resumed construction between America and Mexico. That is a good thing. Secondly, 1,500 troops have been deployed to the border between America and Mexico to prevent any more crossings. And thirdly, federal agents all over America have begun arresting people who are in the country illegally for subsequent deportations. This is exactly what Trump promised he would do. It is that easy.
This afternoon, NBC 10 saw multiple unmarked SUVs here. 5 people, some wearing vests that said police federal agents on the back, went inside one of the apartment buildings. 2 agents waited outside, 1 person taken into custody that we saw.
The crazy thing is, it was always this easy. Joe Biden and the Democrats basically gaslit the American public into thinking that none of this could be done. And yet Trump did it on day one. It was always this easy. But not only that, we could do pretty much the same thing in the UK. We're an island, so actually in many respects it's a lot easier for us. We could put the Royal Navy in the Channel in the same way that Trump has sent 1,500 troops to the border with Mexico. We could declare the smuggling gangs as foreign terror organisations. And what would that mean? Well, it would mean MI6, the intelligence services and the UK Special Forces could have a field day going after these guys. Kill or capture missions. Wouldn't that be absolutely fantastic? These things can be done. All you need is the political will to get them done. That's it. One thing you can take away from all of this is that every decision Trump is making is in the best interests of the American people. And why is it so hard for other politicians around the country, especially here in the UK, to simply prioritise British people? Why is that so hard? Think about it. Under Trump, they're going to get cheaper energy. They're going to stop wasting money on subsidies for net zero. They're going to have less competition for employment from people who don't even have a legal right to be in the country and are working illegally and not even paying taxes. It's crazy. All of these policies are so basic common sense. We could do with them over here in the UK and throughout much of Europe as well. But will we ever get them? Let me know what you think. Let me know if you would like a UK version of Trump. We obviously don't have one. We don't have anyone who's a straight shooter and can manipulate the media and everything else. No, Nigel Farage is not that guy. If anything, I think he's a bit scared of the media, and that's why he panders to them a little bit. Donald Trump isn't like that. He says what he wants to say. It makes a stirring headline anyway, and then he makes promises and goes through with them. It's that straightforward. I wish we had some UK version of Trump, a little bit of hope, a little bit of positivity. Unfortunately, I don't see that in the near future, but you know, in enough tough circumstances, hopefully someone will rise up from the ashes. Nobody comment and say me, because I am definitely not the Donald Trump of the UK, sadly. Right, thank you very much. Please leave a like, a comment and subscribe if you're not already. And till the next one. Oh, very last point. Have you noticed whenever I wear this stupid jacket, it immediately stops raining and I look like an idiot? Leave a comment if you made it all the way to the very last thing I said on the video. I'll be surprised how many of you did. All right, this time for real. Till the next one.